Hello, all. This is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a three. And in this particular video, I'm going to talk to you about where can you actually get a PhD in design thinking, cryptocurrency, or any particular novel topic in innovation. So if you don't know me, I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There are so many people that helped me out to get through graduate school that I decided to pay the favor forward and help you out as much as I possibly can. So where do you actually get a PhD in design thinking? So actually, if you go on the internet, I tried to do this. There's not actually a lot of places around the world that have particular areas or particular focuses on design thinking. So it's kind of a novel concept, just like other things like cryptocurrency, for example, or maybe you want to look at artificial intelligence or something along those lines. It's pretty novel concepts at this, although they have a long history and lots of people have sort of studied these things over the course of many different years. These are kind of not new, but at the same time, they're new to the world. A lot of people are taking interest in these particular areas. So what do you do in terms of studying something that is kind of a novel concept, a novel area that nobody else has looked at before? Well, this is what I would personally do, and this is what everybody does when they are an academic, because when we are actually doing research, we're discovering new things, we're studying new things that nobody else has done before. And so what you have to do is actually you have to pick a particular discipline that you're going to look through the lens that you're going to look at. So, for example, if you want to study design thinking, you can go into maybe it's industrial design department, do a PhD in industrial design department, or you could do a PhD in innovation in a business school, for example. You can also take maybe a sociology perspective and do a PhD in sociology, or maybe you do maybe one in psychology and think about maybe it's cognitive biases in design thinking, or looking at how actually people think through processes, and you look at social psychology, right? Like Mikhail, and I'm going to get his name wrong, and it's a really long name. And he came up with the idea of flow when you are actually coming up with new ideas. Anyways, so I'm blanking on his name right now because it's very long. But anyways, what you have to do is you have to look at it from a particular discipline. So you choose your discipline, and then you go into the contextual area, and you might sort of be the first person in that particular contextual area to study something like that, right? So given that there's not a lot of people that are thinking or researching design thinking, I'm in the field of innovation, and there isn't that many people that are actually doing that. It's a select group of people that are doing that, just like in any particular domain. If you didn't know this, when you do a PhD and you're researching a particular topic, so I personally study medical device innovation is one particular thing. There's only a handful of people that are actually studying that kind of stuff around the world, and so there's only going to be a small number of people that are studying that, and their homes are in different disciplines, for example, right? So for me, my home is in a business school, but and I studied strategy. That was my PhD, was in strategy, and so there's a lot of overlap between strategy and innovation. And most people would sort of do, if they're studying innovation, they would study in a strategy department, for example. That's where they would go from, or maybe it's a organizational behavior department that you'd study that particular stuff. But when you're studying a new area, what you have to do is take your discipline and focus in on that new area. And study that particular area. So you would go in, so for example, with design thinking, you might actually study designers, industrial designers. So you would actually go and do some survey of industrial designers. Maybe you would actually go to an architectural firm that's doing some really cool design thinking, or maybe it is, an innovation design firm where they are actually designing new products and they're thinking about, so IDEO, for example, there's a really famous paper about IDEO where, people actually studied the design firm, and they went in and they looked to see at how they actually were doing things in the design firm and looking at how they sort of assemble groups and put them together, all that kind of stuff. And that's what you would do, and you would do your PhD. That's essentially what you're doing, even though you're doing your PhD in maybe it's sociology, or maybe you're doing your PhD in psychology, but you're actually doing your PhD in design thinking, right? That's what you're doing, is you're looking to see at how people actually think through problems and come up with new designs, and then you can inform the field. And then what you do, once you do that, you sort of research that particular area. You design, you inform both the academic field. So you want to inform, maybe it's sociology. So in my field, you might want to inform, maybe it is organizational design, right? So you want to see how design thinking impacts organizational design, how they actually sort of assemble organizations to ensure that design thinking is occurring in an effective manner. So you want to look at that and sort of address that particular idea. But then as well, you might have some practical implications that are geared towards more practitioners that are going to be looking at how design thinking is actually done. So does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, right? So what you're trying to do is go at it from a particular discipline. So you want to choose your discipline, and then if you want to do something in a novel area, maybe it's cryptocurrency, for example, you would go and study people that are actually doing cryptocurrency. Or maybe in software design, for example, you look to see at how new cryptocurrency designs are actually being developed, for example, or you create a new algorithm from that particular perspective for cryptocurrency. And then your PhD, by doing that, it is on cryptocurrency, or it's on design thinking, or whatever you're looking at. But you're the one specialist in that particular area, that small group of people that can sort of speak to that. And then when you're doing that, what you're doing is you have to look at sort of two sets of literatures. You look at the academic literature, but then you also have to look at the sort of practitioner literature and interweave those particular ideas together. And, just kind of, this is might not come as a surprise, but there's probably going to be a lot more ideas that are going to stretch your mind in the academic literature. That's just generally what happens. They're a little bit more, they're a little bit more out there, a little bit more robust than the sort of practitioner ideas. It's sort of, they tend to focus on one particular small thing, and then they build a lot of examples around that one particular small thing. Whereas in the academic literature, they're building against a background of many other different ideas that people have talked about. And there's lots of different ideas that people have talked about. So I hope that makes sense. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And really what I'm trying to walk you through with this particular video is getting you to think about how you actually get to these areas that you want to sort of study when you are doing your PhD. And what you have to do is go at it from a particular discipline. So choose your discipline, economics, maybe it's strategy if you want to. And then what you do is you choose the topic once you're going into that, and then you sort of focus in that particular topic. If you want to study people that are on, maybe it's traders, for example, there's a whole lot of cool things that are happening in sort of trading at this moment, in terms of, maybe it's machines that are taking over taking over trading that's happening, and you want to investigate that. So then that's what you focus on. You focus on how people are adapting to this technological change in Wall Street, for example. So if that makes sense, that's what you're supposed to do, or that's what you should do, is pick your discipline, go in, and then pick your sort of topical area, or what is called your context after that, and you start taking a deep dive into that. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.